So I'm going to demonstrate a couple Hock tapings now. So the first one that I'm going to do is if it was an acute injury, if it just happened. So Rocky here, he has an old Hock injury, but let's say that it just happened and that this enlargement that we see is swelling due to the injury. What we would do is we would want to do the anti-inflammatory taping. So we're going to use 2 of these fan projections. I did them on the 4-inch thick, the Big Daddy tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the proper way would be to lay that down. So if I can get the paper off. Alright. So we're going to start with one. I'm going to start my first one on the inside. And we always want to put the base up on the higher aspect of the leg because we want to pump it back up towards the heart. So we're going to go up towards the torso. And then we're just going to pull the paper off of each one of these little finger projections. And we're going to lay each piece down along the hock where the swelling is. So we're just going to lay these guys down. Just like that. Rub that down a little. Good. So we got the one piece of the fan down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the other piece, because remember, whenever we're doing anti-inflammatory tapings, it's going to work better if we have 2 fan pieces crisscrossing. So for this one, we're going to place our base on the other side, and we're going to cross those finger projections over the ones that we already put down. So I'll show you what that's going to look like. So I'm going to put this other base over on this side. I'm just going to go ahead and lay these other finger projections down, crossing over the ones that we just laid down. And you don't want to apply any stretch. We're just going paper off tension. So as we pull the paper off, we're laying those little fingers down. And when we do an anti-inflammatory taping like this, we want to be sure to replace it every 24 hours. We're going to pull this up and put fresh tape down, because that's just going to help us move the fluid out even better. Now when you're dealing with an area like the hock, where there's a lot of movement going on in the joint, you might want to use a little bit of sticky spray to help this stay, or you might also want to use a couple anchors. And I'm not going to apply the anchors right now because I'm going to pull this off and show you what we would do for a more chronic injury to the hock. But if I were to apply the anchors, what I would do is just get a couple pieces of the 2-inch tape, and I would maybe put an anchor up here across the top and an anchor down here on the bottom to hold those finger projections on. So this is what the anti-inflammatory taping would look like on the hock for an acute injury where we're trying to move fluid out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these off now that I showed you how to do that. And with Rocky, since this is a chronic injury, this is something that happened years ago with him, what I'm going to leave on him is a support taping to try to support that hock while he's being ridden and while he's working, to try to reduce any further injury to it. So I'm actually going to use a sticky spray on him to try to help that stay on a little bit better. This is an example of one of the athletic sticky sprays on the market. I'm also going to go over the proper way to apply this, because there is a little bit of an art to using the sticky spray as well. So when we're using the sticky spray, we don't want to just spray the entire area, because that can inhibit the stretch of the tape. So we want to just spray little spots along the area. So I'm just going to do, the tape that I'm going to put on him is going to be an X going across the hock. So I'm just going to do a couple spots along the area where I think I'm going to be placing the tape, is where I'm going to put that spray on. So I just did a few spots. Now what I want to do is I want to wait a little bit to make sure that this is starting to get sticky. It's going to dry a little bit and have a sticky feel to the touch. Right now it still feels pretty wet to me, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of time to get that stickiness to it before I put the tape on over it. If you try to put the tape on when it's still wet, it actually has the opposite effect. It doesn't stick quite as well. If you just wait a little bit for it to start to dry a bit and feel sticky, then it's going to stay on much better for you. So I'm going to go ahead and feel that again, and it's starting to dry and feel sticky to me, so I'm going to go ahead and apply the tape. So what I did is I cut two eyepieces of the 2-inch tape. I'm going to start up above the hock on the inside, and I'm just going to bring this down. I'm just going to put a little bit of stretch over the middle aspect, just probably about 10 to 20%, and then no stretch on the ends. I'm just going to go all the way back like that with it. And then I'm going to get a second piece, and I'm going to cross that back over it. We're going to start on the opposite side. I'm just going to do a little bit of stretch over the middle and then bring this down like that. So you can see we did an X directly over the hock. Now again, since this is an area that it tends to not stay on quite as well as like the back or other areas, we're going to do some support tapings, which are going to help anchor this and also just give him a little bit of extra support. So I'm just going to go ahead and go along the top of the hock so that I'm holding down the tape that we just put down and also giving him a little bit of support. And I'm not going to put any tension or stretch in this tape. It's just going to be paper off tension, because we're going to go all the way around the leg with it. We don't want to restrict it at all. Just like that. Just going to rub that down real good. Then I'm going to grab the second piece and put it down on the bottom. Same thing, we're not going to put any stretch or anything, so we don't want to restrict the leg. We're just putting it down on it. Just going to go ahead and do that. Right all the way around. And that is that. So that would be a good hock support taping. We're going to let Rocky wear that and see how long it stays on him.